This lesson is on the electoral process. Why is the nominating process a critical first step in the election process? In the United States, the election process occurs in two steps. Nomination, in which the field of candidates is narrowed, and the general election is the regularly scheduled election where voters make the final choice of office holder. What are the self-announcement, the caucus, and the convention nominating methods? Self-announcement is when a person who wants to run for office announces their candidacy. Whenever a write-in candidate appears on the ballot, the self-announcement process has been used. The caucus was originally a private meeting of local bigwigs, which fell out of favor in the 1820s. The convention is considered more democratic than the caucus. Convention delegates were selected to represent the people's wishes. However, party bosses soon found ways to manipulate the system, and the convention system was on its way out by the early 1900s. What are the different types of direct primaries? For the closed primary, only declared party members can vote. For the open primary, any qualified voter can take part in the election. For the nonpartisan primary, candidates are not identified by party labels. For the blanket primary, qualified voters can vote for any candidate regardless of party. The runoff primary is used if a required majority is not met. The two people with the most votes run again. Why do some candidates use the petition as a nominating device? Candidates must gather a required number of voters' signatures to get on the ballot by means of petition. Minor party and independent candidates are usually required by state law to be nominated by petition. Petition is often used at the local level to nominate for school posts and municipal offices. How does the administration of elections in the United States make democracy work? Elections are primarily regulated by state law, but there are some overreaching federal regulations. Congress has the power to set the time, place, and manner of congressional and presidential elections. States determine the details of the election of thousands of state and local offices. What role do precincts and polling places play in the election process? A precinct is a voting district. Precincts are the smallest geographic units used to carry out elections. A precinct election board supervises the voting process in each precinct. A polling place is where the voters who live in a precinct go to vote. It is located in or near each precinct. Polling places are supposed to be located conveniently for voters. In what ways can voters cast their ballots? Voters can cast their ballots by using an office group ballot or a party column ballot. For an office group ballot, voters select each candidate by marking an X in the square. For the party column ballot, party symbol and name are at the top of the column that lists all of the party's candidates running for office. What role do voting machines and other innovations play in the election process? Electronic vote counting has been in use since the 1960s. Punch card ballots have often been used to cast votes. Vote-by-mail elections have come into use in recent years, and online voting is a trend that may be encountered in the near future. What are the issues raised with campaign spending? There is a great deal of money being raised and spent during the campaign process. Money doesn't necessarily buy votes, but it can buy access to the candidate that wins. What are the various sources of campaign funding? There are many private and public sources of campaign money. Small contributors, wealthy supporters, candidates, temporary fundraising organizations, non-party groups such as political action committees, and government subsidies. How do federal laws regulate campaign finance? In the court case Buckley versus Vallejo, the major question was, were limits placed on electoral expenditures by the Federal Election Campaign Act violate the First Amendment freedom of speech? Well, the first conclusion was that restrictions on individual contributions to political campaigns and candidates did not violate the First Amendment. The second conclusion was that government restrictions on independent expenditures from their own personal or family resources did, in fact, violate the First Amendment. The Federal Election Commission, also known as the FEC, enforces the timely disclosure of campaign finance information, limits on campaign contributions, limits on campaign expenditures, and provisions for public funding of presidential campaigns. What loopholes exist in today's campaign finance laws? Soft money, which is money given to state and local party organizations for party building activities that is filtered to presidential or congressional campaigns. Independent campaign spending. A person unrelated and unconnected to a candidate or party can spend as much money as they want to benefit or work against candidates. And issue ads. Take a stand on certain issues in order to criticize or support a certain candidate without actually mentioning that person's name.